Okay, so second semester for Algebra 2, we're starting with Chapter 6, so we're in polynomials. So 6.1 is hopefully review for you. It's properties of exponents. Okay, so recall what an exponent means, right? So if we have a to the n power, that means a times a n number of times. So the base gets multiplied out the number of times in your exponent. Okay, so we have properties. So if we let a and b be real numbers, and m and n are integers, right? So positive, negative whole numbers, okay? We have the product property, the power of a power, we have the power of a product, the negative exponent, we have the zero exponent, the quotient of a power, or the power of a quotient. Okay, so the product property just means that if you have two powers that are being multiplied and you have the same base, we can add their exponents. Okay, but it has to be the same base here. So 2 to the third times 2 to the fourth, it's the same base, so it would be 2 to the 3 plus 4, or 2 to the 7th power. Power of a power means you have 1 raised to another power, so it's one base but two exponents, so you multiply their exponents. So you have 2 to the third to the fourth, that would be 2 to the 3 times 4, or 2 to the 12th power. Okay. Power of a product means you have a product inside the parentheses and then you're raising it to a power. That power can be given to both factors. This only works when it is a product. It's not a plus b, it's a times b. So this would be 2 times 3 to the fourth. So that would be 2 to the fourth times 3 to the fourth. A negative exponent means you just take the reciprocal of your base and raise it to a positive exponent as long as the base is not 0. So you have 2 to the negative third, that would be 1 over 2 to the third. Anything raised to the 0 power is 1. So 2 to the 0 is 1. 1,000 to the 0 is 1, right? Doesn't matter what the base is. If the power is 0, then it's 1. The quotient of powers, that is like the product here. So you have the same base, but you're dividing this time. So a to the m divided by a to the n, you would subtract your exponents. So 2 to the 7th over 2 to the 4th. Same base, so 7 minus 4, you would get 2 to the third. And then power of a quotient means you have a quotient and it's raised to a power. You can give both the numerator and the denominator to the same power. So 2/3 to the 4th would be 2 to the 4th over 3 to the 4th. Okay, so these should be reviewed. You should know these properties. Okay, so in the first section, that's all we're doing, is we're simplifying them. So we're going to evaluate 3 to the 4th squared, 5 over 8 to the third, negative 2 to the third, to the negative third, sorry, times 2, negative 2 to the 9th, okay? The other thing to note with powers is this negative. So negative 2 to the 3rd and negative 2 to the 3rd are different. This would be the negative on the outside, and this would be the negative 2 as part of the base. Okay, so you have to be careful with parentheses. And then expanding this to variables. Okay, so we have a squared over b to the negative 3rd, all to the 3rd, negative y squared. Let me rewrite that. Negative y squared to the 5th times y squared times y to the negative 12th, and rs squared over rs to the negative 1 all to the 3rd. Okay, so this first one, this is the power of a power. So we are going to multiply their exponents. So 4 times 2, that would be 3 to the 8th. And then evaluating that, you have to multiply it. So you get 6,561. Okay. All right. You have a quotient raised to a power. We're going to put the power on the numerator and the denominator. So we get 5 to the 3rd over 8 to the 3rd. 5 to the 3rd is 125. And 8 to the 3rd is 512. On this next one, again, it's the same base, so I'm going to simplify that into one exponent. So negative 2 is your base. It's being multiplied, so you add your exponents. So negative 3 plus 9 would be 6. And negative 2 to the 6th power is positive 64. Okay, here we're going to get rid of parentheses first. So it's a quotient to a power, so we're going to give that power to the numerator and the denominator. So a squared to the 3rd is a to the 6th. B to the negative 3rd to the 3rd is b to the negative 9th. We can't leave a negative exponent, so really the negative exponents mean a to the 6th is fine because it's positive. B to the negative 9th is in the denominator, so you bring it to the numerator and make it positive. So you get a to the 6th, b to the 9th. Okay, on this one, we want to deal with parentheses first. So you have negative y squared to the 5th. So we're going to multiply these exponents. So you get negative y to the 10th. Okay, because 2 times 5 is 10. And it's negative y because the 5 is outside the parentheses. And then y squared, y to the negative 12th, okay? Actually, no, this negative should be outside the parentheses because, so you should get y to the 10th with the negative outside, y squared, y to the negative 12th. Because there's no parentheses around it here, so this would be negative y squared, and then that gets raised to the 5th. So you get that negative on the outside. They're all the same base being multiplied, so we're going to add their exponents. So 10 plus 2 minus 12 is 1. No, is 0, sorry. So we get negative y to the 0. Y to the 0 is 1, but it's negative. So you get negative 1. And then the last one. Again, deal with those negatives first, or the parentheses first. So in the numerator, you have rs squared. In the denominator, it's a power of a product. So we're going to get r cubed. And then s to the negative 1 to the 3rd is going to be s to the negative 3rd. Then you can kind of group them together. So we're going to have the r's because they're the same base, and then the s's. So this would be r to the 1st divided by r to the 3rd, so 1 minus 3, s to the 2 minus negative 3, because that's a negative 3 in the denominator. So it's r to the negative second, s to the fifth, and then you can't have a negative exponent, so if this is a negative 2, you're going to bring it to the denominator. So it's s to the fifth over r squared. Okay? And that's properties of exponents. So again, hopefully that's a lot of review for you. And that's 6.1.